Carbohydrates aren't all bad, are they? No, they're not. Today we're going to talk about a couple questions that patients have asked, and specifically this one is around carbohydrates. Many of you have the same question. How do I know how I respond to carbs? Are they really bad? How much should I cut out? I know I eat too much of them. A lot of story around them. Well, number one, they're not bad, but we're going to talk about how to know how to digest and how you know you are digesting today. And then we're going to talk about sleep and how many of us struggle with sleep and feel like our lives would be completely different if we could just get better sleep. Thanks for listening. If you like the candid discussion and are seeking the truth behind the mainstream narrative, then please subscribe and share. Not only am I grateful, but those who seek the truth and wish to empower themselves and their family's health, freedoms, and future will also be grateful. Hey, good morning, everybody. And basically, your diapers, you were making that diaper sound. And so I left all that stuff in there, and it's funny. We had fun.
Cool.
So, hey, everybody, we are rocking and rolling on a Friday morning. We're going to talk about some mailbag questions today because apparently you listeners want more questions answered. So I'm here with Dr. D. Lala
Good morning.
in Scotch Plains, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Give me a big...
There's a lot of Italian people here. It really should be called Italian Plains, not Scotch Plains. I don't know why they said Scotch Plains.
What about Sicilians?
Yeah, Sicilians. They're there too. Those Sicilians, those Sumerian Sicilians.
Yeah, you know what? They are the best.
They are. That's the best.
The best. All right. So today we're going to kick off with a question that I had. And there's a couple. And this one may be a quick answer. So the one I wanted to start with is I taught a webinar a week ago. And a couple of the questions that came out of there is, how am I going to know? How am I going to know? Because when we talk about the ability to absorb nutrients, many of us are aware that you want to supplement with certain things, like whether it's just right now around the immune system, A, D, E, and K, vitamin C, making sure you have probiotics, making sure you have various forms of Bs for stress. Okay, right? We know about vitamins, but those are micronutrients, and those are what you're supposed to do to supplement what you're already digesting and absorbing. And so as we trace back to inflammation, the whole concept of the conversation was about, are you digesting the macronutrients first? Because that's where the real value is in the priority sequence. So if you don't digest carbohydrates well or fat, you're going to crave them more, which makes it harder for you to break off carbohydrates. So hopefully that starts to get you thinking about, oh, maybe that's why I struggle when I try to go off carbs, or I get headaches because I'm really burning sugar and, insulin, and my insulin resistance is up and I can't process sugar well. And my blood sugar drops. So automatically my body needs more sugar. And so I keep going after it. I get a temporary fix, but then I keep needing more. So anyway, that's part of this struggle. So the patient said, how will I know I'm actually having a response or a negative response to carbohydrates? What do you think it is, Dr. Frank?
Why do they have a negative response?
How are they going to know they're having? So the question is, Dr. Wade, how am I going to know I'm having a negative response from carbohydrates? How am I going to know that I'm not digesting carbohydrates or fats well?
I would say there's probably going to be some form of digestive symptoms.
Okay, like what?
Gassy, bloaty, indigestion, acid reflux, nausea, something along the lines with the stomach and just not feeling right. But I would say gassy, bloaty, and like distended would be a pretty profound symptom that would happen.
And what would be the worst symptom, you think?
Digestively?
No, just symptomatically. What do you think the worst symptom might be? It's a trick question, by the way.
Because that's relative. I mean, some symptoms are worse than for others. I don't know. I mean, it could probably lead to other things like pain, joint pain, back pain, joint pain, things like that.
Good. I love it, because sometimes that's the worst is what you don't connect it the most, you connect it the least. And so you'll never think carbohydrates and or carbs, grains, or certain fats are going to create those symptoms, because society doesn't connect those dots for you. They're going to treat whatever arthritis or pain you're having with a pain or anti-inflammatory med or drug. And you're going to not change any of your digestive or your eating habits. And you're going to think the two are completely separate. So the trick part of that question is this. For this patient, I said, that is an awesome question, first of all, because if I don't paint that picture for you, so here's also one of the worst symptoms with that. Not having terrible bloat, just having subtle bloat, not having any bloat or a minimal amount of bloat, but you're so used to all that bloat. You've had it for so long. It's just who you think you are. Yep. And what about diarrhea and constipation? So what many people don't connect, and this is a general rule, but dairy will constipate if you have a sensitivity, and it does tend to constipate, while sugar and carbs will tend to liquidate or create diarrhea. And it can be the opposite, but in most cases that is the rule, because to process the sugar content, our bodies pull fluid to flush that out. So we pull water from our tissues and the kidneys get involved, and that's how your body tries to detoxify that. It's just a struggle. So with this patient, I said, you could get, just like you said, Dr. Frank, some bloating. You could get some distension. You could get inconsistent bowel habits. Those are really three easy. You can get what's called Pottinger syndrome, which is actually where the thoracic spine, instead of having a nice bend to the thoracic spine, it actually starts to dish out and do the opposite, because of the the physiologic stress literally distorts the spine, which is also pretty amazing. That was discovered by a guy named Pottinger. And so it's called Pottinger's saucer, and it's a positive sign for digestive stress. And then you link back, where is the stress coming from? Protein.
Are you saying the thoracic spine would be like decreased? Is that what you mean? Like a hypokyphotic?
Yes, I would say it's hypo, not hyperkyphotic. Yep. It goes from having so by the way,
rounded,
straight. Yep. To straight and or even dished anteriority. And that is due to the structural / the physiologic stress that creates the structural distortion. Dr. Loomis turned me on to that, which is pretty amazing. So that's one of our screening mechanisms when someone comes in with headaches, because a common sign isn't going to be that they know they have dishing in the thoracic spine. They might have mid-back pain. That's another symptom that is related with it. That is a referral source, and that's usually right-sided, not left-sided. Okay. And that can be also, but the headaches are related to Pottinger saucer and indigestion of any of those three, whether it's fat, carbs, and or proteins. So there's this number of sequelae that the patient can, or in other words, byproducts, consequences that a patient can experience. But you have to also realize, why isn't it so easy to say, well, when you don't digest carbs, you will have this automatically and everyone's going to be the same? It's because of this brilliant thing called homeostasis again, where the body adapts and adjusts, and you rob Peter to pay Paul. So you're going to continue to shift and adapt and compensate for that stressor as long as you can, until you can't anymore. And that's where we run into this degenerative syndrome. But easy enough, could be loose bowels, could be constipation, could be headaches, could be chronic pain like you'd said. But some of the more simple ones is post-eating, there's a bloat. And then they just think, hey, I'm just bloaty and gassy, and they don't realize where that's coming from.
How much of that do you think is from the way that people eat? Meaning like they're eating very quickly, or they're eating too slowly, or they're not chewing enough, etc. Is there something to that as well? Is that a piece of the puzzle?
Can I say hell yes? Because yes, that's absolutely key. So with you bring that up, 1, 2, 3. So 6 glands we have. Okay. We have 6 glands. Mm-hmm. They each secrete different primary enzymes. When we chew, unlike an animal like a cow or a deer, or where they graze, and then they're just graze, chew, swallow. They lay down, and now they're laying down, and they're doing what? They're chewing their cud. They have secondary and in some cases tertiary stomachs where they start breaking down the vegetation. That's why they're valuable to human beings, because what they can break down for us, vegetative omega-3, that we can't, we get through their meats and their organ meats. Mm-hmm. So that's a value of carnivore to a human being, because we're getting omega-3s through them, and we're getting them then in a saturated form, which again, Loomis talks about 50% of our, here's a ticket for you folks, 50% of our dietary fat should come in saturated fat form, in an animal fat form. I didn't know that until about a year ago, that it was like, boom, that much, which is pretty amazing. So back to Dr. Frank's point, if you're not chewing, let's just say on average 30 times, which is going to really, what you're trying to do is envelop as much of the food particles with enzymes, saliva, which contains enzymes, carbohydrate releasing, Dr. Frank, carbohydrate releasing enzymes, sublingual fat releasing enzymes, and protein releasing enzymes. And so what happens is, that's how we start breaking that process down. It's called pre-digestion, and you nailed it. If you don't chew your food well, and you're swallowing down these big chunks of food because you're in a hurry, or you're on the go, or you eat standing up. And again, that's where this question came from with this woman, is she realized after our webinar, because that's the first thing I teach is, if you don't chew your food, you will always struggle with breakdown and overload the colon and the liver and the gallbladder, because you're getting undigested food in there, which takes up to twice as long, if not longer. And that's what creates food backing up in the digestive system and pushes up into the esophagus, which is where the real reflux is coming from, not from too much acid.
Does weight gain play a role in this? Because that's on my adaptability and connections group. That's been a hot question. Yeah, very, very much like with everything going on in the world and people being home and so forth, eating a bit more, and or either losing a whole ton of weight because they're stressed out, or gaining a ton of weight because they're stressed out. And I had made a recommendation about that. I said something like, I could map out an entire year of a nutritional plan for you. We could do that. You could do that. I could do that for someone and say, eat this for breakfast and eat this for lunch and eat this for dinner, and based on them, and make it very specific to them. But if they are eating under the circumstance of being perpetual in perpetual fear, perpetual worry, perpetual anger while they're having the meal, and they're just in that vibration, I can give them a diet for 365 days. They're still going to not digest properly, and the body's still going to hold on to weight if they don't get out of that state. So that was my thing about it. I don't know how much a role that plays that you feel, but.
Oh, it plays a huge role. I mean, one of the key things is, if you can't relax when you eat and consume, you will have problems digesting. That's why you shouldn't eat when you're stressed. It's because digestion slows upon fight or flight, upon stress. Your body, and just people, look, when you're stressed, your body says fight or flight. I got to fight the bear. I got to run from the saber-toothed tiger. Guess what? They're not there. You have perpetual stress. We have perpetual stress that doesn't go away. That, or anger, like Dr. Frank said, when you're holding and harboring that physiology, that's telling your internal mechanism, because it's going to respond to adapt to whatever you think is reality. And if your reality is, I am scared shitless, pardon my French, if I'm scared and I can't, you've literally locked down the digestive process, because it's not the time to eat. It's the time to defend or run or stand up for your position. And that's the mixed messaging that is a nasty byproduct of what is being purported through the mainstream media right now, is that the fear generated is literally making people sick. and causing illness as a result.
I'm just saying an example that comes to mind is I have, shall we say, I know someone who had a friend call up and say to her, hey, I've just baked a cake. Are you okay with me sending it over for you guys? I made an extra one. I made it for your family. The other person was like, yeah, like, what's the big deal? But can you imagine what that particular meal would do to somebody if, and again, I'm not judging, I'm just saying in the world today, this scenario would be, oh my God, is the cake contaminated? Or are they a carrier? They're not showing symptoms of a virus, etc. And now this cake is coming into my house, and now we're going to eat this pie. And oh my God, I'm worried about that with every freaking bite, every morsel you take in. Man, that's not right. I mean,
you know what? It's not. I love the gestures, and that we shouldn't be afraid like that. Can't live afraid. And yeah, I think there's some truth and reality to it by all means, but I don't necessarily accept a lot of outside food. Yeah. My wife is celiac, so
I mean, you wouldn't do it for those reasons, but it's not because you're afraid of the virus is my point.
Right. I just don't eat necessarily other people's cooking when we are. And that's okay. It's not a judgment as much as I would appreciate the love that people show with that. I think that's a really
the point I want to make is there was a guy years ago. I remember he would say that he would bless his food. Now he was maybe super religious, and I'm not saying that's good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just saying even people that are not that.
Do you bless your food? What are you talking about? Do you
bless your food? I don't know if you want to call it blessing my food, but I try to make mental note of whatever I'm taking in, that I'm thankful for it. Yeah, I would say that I put a spin, a good vibe, if you will, onto what I'm taking into my body. I try to do that the best I can.
Yeah, good. Me too. I would agree. I mean, it's a conscious effort to remind ourselves we're blessed and endowed with the food, the ability, the capacity, and it's real food right now. It's the best real food we've got right now. Mm-hmm. And who knows what's going to happen later. So moving forward, your question, what'd you get?
My question last week was, why am I not sleeping? Why am I not sleeping? I'm not really stressed out about what's going on in the world. I don't really have a lot of aches or pains. Why am I not sleeping? So, I mean, there's so many factors that can be, that can contribute to that. So my thing about it is, and I'd love to hear your take as well, I think when the body is not able to get into a proper state of relaxation in order to wind down enough to go into a normal circadian rhythm, right? Sun comes up, sun comes down, the body goes to sleep, it rests at night, wakes up in the morning refreshed. That's what's supposed to happen, despite popular belief and what a lot of people might experience. I say, I don't wake up refreshed. I don't wake up energetic. I'm groggy in the morning. I need my coffee. If I can't even function without it, blah, 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 blah. That's not normal. That's not normal. That's not the ideal state, and it's really not normal. So why would someone, not sleep properly? Well, I think two major things it could be is, maybe it's, this person said that they're not in pain, but if they were, it could be pain. Like my back's bothering, my hip is bothering me. I can't lay on this side. Well, you can get that fixed, right? We can work on that and eliminate that. And then the other thing is my wheels are turning. My mind will not shut down. Okay. Well, what are you taking in right before bed? Does caffeine affect you that way? Are you taking in caffeine right before you go to bed, or, late in the day enough where it's affecting you? If you're not doing that, what are you thinking about? What is on your mind? And then I just go back to even before that and say, from a global perspective, and just take that person into consideration and say, is your body balanced? Is your body balanced? And if it's not balanced, let's do that first, and I don't want to say let the chips fall where they may, but you'll see what happens with that. So I don't know exactly why. I think sleep is the number one or number two thing that is affected with people, no matter what they come in with, and we do really well. Like I've got patients that said, I haven't slept well in like 9 years. Like 9 years. You didn't sleep well for 9 years? I haven't slept well for 9 years. And I'm not going to say in like 1 or 2 treatments or 1-3 treatments, but very soon and very quickly in their care, I slept through the night, woke up rested, woke up energetic, that type of thing. Because, and again, I'd like to hear your take on it. I think neurologically, brain, spinal cord, the neurologic or the nerve tension in the body is a huge factor for that. And when the body gets short-circuited, that's one of the primary causes. Now we can go back and forth and say, hey, listen, I'm going through a bad divorce, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that, or that I understand. But I think it has a lot to do with the nervous system. And when you positively affect it, that can be, that does good things for their sleep.
Sounds like Margaret's in there.
My tech support just showed up.
Right on.
Like the wheelbarrow.
Wheelbarrow?
No. What are you talking about?
I feel it. That you washed for me. I put it in a driveway to dry.
Yeah, it's in the garage.
Hey, there's a missing wheelbarrow going around in the neighborhood.
It's not even a wheelbarrow.
It's got racing stripes on it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. They're racing it down the street.
So do you want me to opine?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So I've seen this. Dr. Frank and I have been around a little while, seeing cases like this for years. There's a couple things that I ask when I hear this. First of all, is in the context of your story, the history tells us a lot. What you've been through, what are you going through, what are you worried about, where's your head? So when the patient prefaces and says, I don't really feel like I'm worried about anything, okay, consciously they're not aware of worry, and yet you said something that's very contradictory, which is, I can't turn my wheels off. Well, one of the questions I ask them is it trouble getting to sleep or is it trouble staying asleep? They're two different problems among many different causes. So if it's I can't get to sleep, that's I can't turn the wheels off. Well, if the wheels are on, first of all, your mind never turns off. Your ability to settle down and hormonally cortisol and adrenaline have changed that time of night. Are you missing your 10:30 window? What does that mean? That means if you miss your you mentioned circadian. Circadian rhythm isn't just day-night rhythms. We have circadian organ clocks. So the liver is on a circadian clock. The DNA, the cellular structure, historically is trained to have a circadian clock, just like the adrenals, just like the digestive system, just like the gallbladder. I mean, that's what's amazing is the organs are on a circadian clock. Isn't that awesome? Which means if we miss a window at 10:30-ish ballpark, based on a generalization of, a circadian clock, which is why it screws up East Coast to Midwest and vice versa. Our clocks run and become adapted to where our clock resides, right? Most often. And then we change zones and it's harder to reacclimate because our body is trained and it takes time to unwind that. So without making this long-winded answer, it's very complex. Do I agree with the neurochemistry? Without question, that subluxation affects the physiology, which then allows the body to rebalance the autonomic and the autonomic, parasympathetic, and sympathetic. And if most of us are in hyperautonomia, or in terms of sympathetic system, which is the gas pedal, that's not being able to turn the mind off, like Dr. Frank just said. And when we bring the body back into alignment, oftentimes people rest better because there's a rebalancing of that sympathetic, parasympathetic, and the clock starts to work more efficiently. But how do you as a patient support that? You want to understand that if you don't have a rhythm that supports your circadian rhythm, if you don't have a lifestyle and behavioral pattern that supports it, and you're looking at a blue screen, your laptop, your iPad, your phone, and you're getting blue light stimulation into the brain, you're telling your body at that time of night to wake up and recreate. So after 10:30, your body gets a second wind. And that's where the cortisol, the adrenaline, the adrenals kick out more cortisol because it's, I guess I got to go a little longer. And that's why some of you are like, I missed my window of opportunity at 11:30. You're more awake than you were at 9:30. And that's part of that circadian organic system. So the circadian rhythms that are also in the organs as well.
People are on devices more than ever now.
Yeah. And so it's like, but structurally, I think Dr. Frank nailed it. He said the first thing is, because of all the variables you have going on in your life, when are you eating? What are you digesting food at that time? Are you eating at 8:30 or 9 o'clock at night? And now you're telling me you can't sleep. Are you not eating enough protein throughout the day and your body is deprived of, and your blood sugar is way off? So now your body says, I'm stressed because I'm low on nutrients. So it kicks out cortisol. I mean, there's so many questions that come back to, all right, let's look at what you're doing and when you're doing it. Then we can rule out the easy things, but adjusting is the primary piece to go, regardless of all that stuff, we can still, and like he just stated, have a very, very dramatic and positive input with an adjustment just by that alone, which then allows some of the other things to settle down and become less influential, so to speak. Not that they aren't, but less, because now your body is better at adapting to that inconsistency. Does that help?
Totally. I also recommend that people have some form of a ritual to go to sleep, right? So that there is a process of winding down.
Yeah.
People are on devices and computers and smartphones and tablets, etc., more than ever now because we're home.
So talk about, let's just jump right to, because they get it. Let's talk about right to, like, give me a ritual. Give me an example. Boom, boom, boom. This time.
Well, using the 10:30 window that you're talking about, maybe at 9:30 or 10 o'clock, we start a process of winding down, of getting off of technology. Number one. Number two, maybe you have to experiment with yourself to see if it works for you, but maybe a calming, warm tea that relaxes you, like a chamomile or something of that nature.
Yeah. Awesome.
Maybe if you're into meditation, you can do a meditation to calm the body and get it into the most probable relaxed state possible to then, go to sleep. By
the way, meditating. Let's talk about that for literally 1 minute. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, I just had this conversation with a patient yesterday. I'm really bad at it. I said, whoa. Why are you bad at it? Because I can't get my mind to shut down. Whoa, that's a myth. You don't get your mind to shut down. It is constantly playing. It's a radio station that never quits ever. It will always chatter. You just refocus, and that's the art and the practice of meditation. So people, you're succeeding if you just sit and listen to your breath and your mind wanders. That is success. It won't stop. You just learn to recognize it's a chatter. It isn't you. It's just a voice. And I think that's where many people get hung up with meditation, like they are or aren't successful. And then they try so hard and they feel like a failure, so they just quit, rather than success is actually just being still and catching your mind doing its thing, but observing it, becoming an observer separate from it. I love your ritual concept. So shutting off from electronics and in devices, I'm going to say an hour before bed, stop that. And then I'm going to say, if you like to read or you want to read something instead of on your iPad, read a real book. There's no blue light coming through there. Mm-hmm. Exercising with the eyes. As many of you know, you can start a page and all of a sudden you're tired and you're out. And others, you can read a half hour and you're going to educate yourself, and don't read anything necessarily heavy, just something entertaining and relaxing. I mean, just something to allow your body to settle down and take the time you need to get into bed to do that. I'm going to also say no TV in the bedroom, but you know what? That's because I'm a good sleeper. I don't fall asleep with in front of a TV and have that stimulation. I can't. That's just me, and that's how I was trained. But and have it dark, because melatonin production has to be dark for your body to create your own melatonin, and that happens only after 4 hours of solid darkness. Isn't that crazy? In other words, sleeping for 4 hours of with darkness, your body then starts to create more melatonin. And so again, we're talking about when Dr. Frank adjusts you, or when we make adjustments, we're literally resetting that nervous system to go, oh, okay, here's my original software. And now I can at least do this. So if you haven't been able to sleep for more than an hour, maybe you sleep for 3, and it's just a process of getting there. How else would you tidy up your ritual, Dr. Frank?
I would say, to your point that you really can't shut the mind off because it still goes, I would say, why not focus on things that you are thankful right before bed? Do a little gratitude. You don't have to journal it. If you want to, you can write it down. That's fine as well. But I would just say, even if it's in your thought process, it's forefront in your mind of what you were thankful for that day and or going into the next day, instead of worrying about or schvoging over what happened that day that went wrong. Don't do that. There's no sense in that.
Is schvoging and
Schvog. You like that word? That's like an SAT word.
Spell it.
I can't.
I'm gonna guess SCHVOGUE. Schvog.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm gonna look
I don't
it
even
up,
know if it's a word.
honest.
I might have just made it up. It sounds. I know what I mean when I say it.
Is that a family word you guys have thrown around for
Maybe
years?
it's like the best. It might be like that.
might be like that, folks. These are great questions, by the way, and thanks for contributing to them and letting us know what you want more answers with. Well, keep them coming. Either PM Dr. Frank or myself, frankly speaking, Dr. Wade. You can see on Facebook. You can certainly ask those questions. We're happy to address them. Keep them coming. This is fun. And until next time, share this with somebody you know who either has a sleep problem, who hasn't gotten some help with Dr. Frank's great points in the rituals. So you got some take-home nuggets right there. And then with carbohydrates, we got some tips and tricks to watch for. Are you digesting them well? And how do you start to work backwards when your diet is creating a lot of the problems you want fixed, but you don't realize your diet is very influential in it? And lastly, chew your food. Right on. You heard, chew your food. Slow down. Have a nice, relaxing time to eat, or don't eat, because you are not going to digest it well anyway, which will kick on inflammation when you don't digest it well. So again, and then your caloric intake can be moderate to, even if you had to have low to conserve, you're going to get more nutrients out of it versus a big meal that doesn't digest. And then now on top of it, you're in fat storage form. So anyway, Dr. Frank, any last second?
Last thing I would say, based on all the recommendations you just said, which I think are great and brilliant, and they work. And I think that we are more self-reliant than we believe that we are. But I will say this. Sometimes you can do a lot of things on your own to have positivity in your health and the way and the way that your body functions. But there are times, many times, where it's very helpful to work with someone to be the originator of those ideas so that your body can execute out and take them.
Make this really simple. Cut to the chase. Tell them what you're telling them.
I'm just saying, you can have a very positive result, and the results could be even sometimes faster if you work with someone who helps you through this process. A doctor, a practitioner of some kind, where they say, hey, Dr. Wade, hey, John, hey, Sally, hey, Mary, this is what I want you to do. This is how we're going to carry this out. Do X, Y, and Z, and we're going to do these things to your body, and we're going to get a good result, and you're going to sleep like a baby. That's very helpful. That's very nourishing. That's very connected. That's very neurologically sound for the body, and you can get the results sometimes even faster.
Dr. Frank was so nice in saying that the way he did. What a sweet man. When I really wanted to hear him say, just get frickin' somebody who can evaluate your spine and nervous system, get you adjusted, and who understands nutrition, understands this big side of why your body isn't in harmony and how to get it into harmony. And so he's absolutely spot on. We all need help. I get adjusted regularly. Dr. Frank gets adjusted regularly. We work on our health every day. We invest in our health. We invest in our ability. But asking someone to help us doesn't mean weakness. It's very, very conscious that everything I do I only have a limited perspective of it, and that I need an outside, and I will always request an outside opinion, someone I trust, someone who I respect in terms of their protocol, their ability to give me fair assessment and help my body align. Because again, we don't feel everything all the time. Like symptomatically, you're going to have this. Sometimes your symptoms are so far removed from where the problem is. So to his point, absolutely, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Have a great day, brother.
Peace.
You guys have an awesome day. Thanks for listening. Ciao. Ciao. Okay, my fellow health warriors, it's time to head over to iTunes, franklyspeakingdrwade.com. There, you can rate, review, and subscribe, as well as share, so more of our brothers and sisters can grow to realize their voice and their health freedom. Speaking up means you matter, so get on it. This podcast is for information purposes only. The statements or views expressed are not medical advice and are not meant to replace the advice of your medical doctor. This podcast, including Dr. Wade Anderson and his guests, disclaim responsibility for any adverse effects you may experience from the specific use of information contained herein. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse and accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about the guest qualifications or credibility. This podcast may contain paid endorsements and advertisements for such services or products. Individuals on this podcast may have direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. If you think you have a medical condition, consult your licensed physician.